But I will take this platform to encourage the public that, you cannot sell the fundamental rights of your child and sacrifices on the altar of convenience.
Exactly.
You cannot just say that because I want to sustain my marriage, my child should be traumatized. Under our customary laws, we have what we call fie awarie.
If you
In
can
essence,
break that down.
marriage within the home. And under customary law, we have first cousins are allowed to marry themselves.
In Ghana?
In Ghana here.
Oh, really?
And that is what you call the fie awarie within the customary law. For me, I think that incest is actually, for me, a disease in the whole family. And it takes the whole family to heal or cause a healing of this disease. Now, if you cover up this canker, thinking that it is about food, what you eat, your shelter, then in the first place, the state cannot even come in. So the genesis should be with the household.
Welcome to Advent Chambers. Come with me so we can sit down and have a discussion about the structures that are in place for families and victims of incest seeking justice. At Advent Chambers, their areas of practice is corporate law, family law, and land law. On the previous episodes, we talk about pedophilia and we talk about incest, but want to dig deep and provide you with the structures that are in place to help you if you're a victim or as a family you're seeking justice. With me here today on set is our church elder, is a lawyer. His name is Robert Suma, a partner at Advent Chambers. Elder, you are welcome.
Thank you, Monique.
Thank you so much for taking your time. I know this is a busy, busy day, but we really appreciate you that you can set some time aside to come and to talk to us about this all-important, sensitive topic. What we want to do, because we have dealt with incest and the psychologist has dealt with it, on a legal term, we want to look at what is incest. Legally, how do you define it? And then we can just roll through the discussion.
All right. Thank you very much, Monique. This is a very interesting topic. Now, incest, basically, if you, for me, summarize the legal import of it, it's a sexual relationship between or among relatives, people who are related by blood. And I believe that when we want to segment it, we can have relationship that exists between father and their daughters. We can have that exists between children, sons and their mothers, if I should put it that way, and that which exists between siblings. And for me, if you look at the clearer picture of the legal implication, any relationship that exists within these circles, even though we have grandparents and other adult related who are also within the circles or definitions of incest.
All right. So legally, that's the area you're looking at it.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. So let's say I'm a victim of an incestual relationship, and because of secrecy or ignorance, I'm not aware of the legal aspect of seeking justice or what are the laws that are available in Ghana regarding such an abuse. I desperately need help. What do I do?
Right, thank you very much. Now, if you read Section 105 of the Criminal Offences Act, it actually provides the benchmark or the parameters within which you can define what incest is. And in fact, the law imposed sanctions on people who are involved in this particular type of offense. And if you read this provision, Words that you would get to know, they indicate if you are not less than 16 years, and you have any relationship with your grandfather, your grandmother, your brother, your sister, your sibling. These are the categories. Then you are committing an offense, and upon conviction, you can be in prison not less than 3 years and not more than 21 years. So it is actually clearly an offense. And in law, when we talk about an offense, the law actually goes beyond just seeing somebody as having committed something. We look at the mens rea, the intention of the person. And here we look at the element of consent. So one key important thing that you'd have to identify to conclude that the person have committed an incest is whether there is an element of consent. I know you will come there, but for now, what I can say is that it is an offense. And we read the Criminal Offences Act together with the Domestic Violence Act. If you talk about the procedure and processes, how to ventilate your rights and others, then you go under the Domestic Violence Act, which provides that the victim, any family member, if the victim is a child, then we call the person the next friend, either his mother, her mother, father, or any friend could accompany him or her to lodge a complaint with the police. And so that is, for me, the best and the first step that you are supposed to take. And it is not limited to just relatives. The law says that people are in domestic relationship where they live together for a number of period or hours. The law have a way of determining it. So to some extent, a landlord can even qualify to lodge a complaint to the extent that this victim is resident in his or her house. And people with relevant information about the offense can also report. So even if the family or close relatives of this victim are covering up, at times by reason of it is the father who committed it, it is the mother, and they would want to close it up. Anybody with an information on the commission of the offense can lodge a complaint with the police.
As long as they are sure of the act being committed.
In fact, not even about being sure. The law says that where you have reasonably believed, you have reasonable ground to believe that an offense is being committed or an offense has been committed, then you can lodge the complaint. And what is interesting in even this discussion is that unlike the general offenses where mainly it is the police who is supposed to arrest, now when it comes to matters of domestic violence for which incest is part, the law actually empowers a private citizen to cause an arrest.
Oh, wow.
But you have to deliver the victim or the person arrested to the police within reasonable hours.
All right. So you can arrest them maybe from their residence.
Exactly.
And be able to deliver that person to the police and hand them over, and then the police will continue their investigation.
Just with reasonable belief. So if it goes and they are not able to prove anything against him, it is not an offense for you to have acted based on your reasonable belief that the person might have committed the offense.
Yeah, I see. I see. So I want you to touch on this consent. Because you say it has to be, especially when it comes to consent. But if they are too young, how then do we determine that they have consented to something like that?
Okay, so the law is very clear that when the person is below 16 years, then consent is immaterial.
All right. Okay.
So you cannot, in fact, there is a decided case where the accused was arguing that, I know she's 13 years and then she willingly, freely came to my room, and when we were having the sex, she never complained. And the court held that, look, when it comes to incest or defilement or having an affair with people below 16 years, the element of consent is not required. Once the age is identified to be below 16 years, then your offense is established. Okay. However, where the person is above 16 years, then we are going into the terrain of rape. And you know, rape would not be rape if there is consent. And the law is very clear when it comes to identifying what consent is. If you're having an affair with a man and you are enjoying it without making noise, the law would not presume consent. You see, in my reading of the authorities, I read an authority or a case where in the course of the evidence, you know, the neighbors, the tenants, they all came and then gave evidence. And they said, oh, we never heard any noise. Okay. In fact, we were in the house, the lady did not make any noise. And the court held that, look, if you remain silent and enjoy it without shouting, without scratching, without biting, you've consented. So for me, it is an advice to the public that in the event there is this unfortunate situation where you are involved, the law will look at certain elements. What did you do under the circumstances?
To try to defend yourself.
To defend yourself, shouting for help, biting the person, scratching, yearning.
Fighting off.
Exactly. But if you remain silent and then maybe mourning romantically, then the law will presume that, well, you accepted it. And that is, you know, this actually is premised on the customary beliefs as Ghanaians. You know, there is this perception or view that when a lady says no, then she meant yes. So in essence, the law would not, you know, presume that you said no by your silence. So there is supposed to be overt acts that will lead the court into coming to the conclusion that by reason of Act 1, shouting, Act 2, calling for help, Act 3, biting, there is a scratch on the body of the person. Then, oh, this person, he did not consent. You know, so that is, so the consent elements need not be, I don't agree, but it should be accompanied with certain
things to demonstrate
acts.
that you really did your best to fight off, but then they overpower you. But what about cases where in maybe, let me say, adult on adult?
Yes.
Maybe the victim was a child and have been groomed to a place where now they also develop sexual feelings and they consent to this relationship.
Oh, you mean the
incest, yes. So let's say the adult and the child. But it's been going on for so many years, and now both of them are adult. Okay. And because of the acts going on, they have also developed desire to have a sexual intimacy with this victim because they think they love them and they consent to that. But if they come with a case like this and they told it started so many years, now they are consenting, does that person have a case?
Well, within the confines of incest, you see, incest operates on the principle of knowledge.
Oh,
if you are actually aware that this person that I am having an affair with or sleeping with or going to marry, I am related in terms of, we are related in terms of blood.
Okay.
Then it is, we don't have regard to I love her, I love him. So it operates on principle of knowledge. But if you're able to prove that you weren't aware that this person that you actually entered into this relationship with was actually your sister, then you are absolved. But let me also hasten to add that, you see, under our customary laws, we have what we call fear awarie. In essence,
break that down.
Marriage within the home. And under customary law, we have first cousins are allowed to marry themselves.
In Ghana?
In Ghana here.
Oh, really?
And that is what you call the fear awarie within the customary law.
Oh, okay. And it's accepted legally?
It is accepted.
That first cousin, so
yes.
my uncle's son and myself can get married?
Yes.
In Ghana?
First cousin, yes.
Ooh.
Under the customary law.
Okay.
And the consent element here is both parents accepting. And it is not in that, you know, domain. It is not just about the will-be couples, but the parents accepting by reason of being first cousins. So the consent element is the family blessing it.
All right.
They are not within the, if you read section 105 that I mentioned.
Yes.
It mentioned grandparents, grandmother, sister, brother, siblings.
Okay.
First cousins are not mentioned.
Oh.
So under the customary law, it is permissible for first cousins to marry. And that is what is actually called fie awarie, meaning marriage in the home.
So
And
they're doing it so that the community accepts it.
It is accepted.
Traditionally, it's acceptable.
It is.
And you cannot, as long as the parents have consented, the child cannot.
Oh no, the child. I mean, those who are involved should also consent.
It should not be like an arranged marriage.
Exactly.
They have to consent to it, and then they are allowed to.
It is permitted in law.
The two parties consent, and the parents consent to it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So that is essentially an exception to the general rule that incest. That one, well, we cannot call it incest because it is first cousin and the customary law accepts it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's the procedure of seeking justice then for a victim?
Okay, so just as I started earlier on, when you lodge the complaint with the police, that's the first step. Now, the police will cause the arrest. The matter will be investigated. Now, in the course of investigation, we have what you call protection orders. Depending on the circumstances and the prevailing conditions, if, assuming a father had an affair with the daughter and warned her that I'll kill you if you tell anybody, it means that this, victim is actually in need of security.
Okay.
The law provides that there should be safety orders. And what is good about our laws is that the law even permits an order to be made for this father to vacate from the house, leaving the matrimonial home for the child and the mother, and continue to provide for the needs of this kid. In reading the authorities and the witness evidence that people are giving in court, I remember a case was actually determined where the court nearly actually added the woman as being an offender. But her defense was that, look, I couldn't have reported because this is my husband. He provides for me. I am living under his roof. I am not working. So reporting for my husband to be arrested will mean that I will deny myself of the necessity of, life. And given the peculiar facts of the case, the court couldn't have blamed her, because these are justifications she is giving. I'm not happy about the act, but if I report, this is what will happen. I believe this actually brought about the reformation in our laws, where provisions are made, and we now even have a fund at the DOFSU. Domestic Violence Act provides a fund where the state can come in, provide education for victims, empowerment, and even provide their basic needs. And orders could also be made for those who are committing the offense to leave the matrimonial home and still provide the basic necessities for the victim and the mother or father.
Yeah, so who ensures then that these policies are effected? Because sometimes it can be good on paper.
Exactly.
But who ensures that we are going to implement them and they're effective and they serve their purpose?
Well, we have state institutions. But before I even go to the state institutions, for me, I think that incest is actually, for me, a disease in the whole family. And it takes the whole family to heal or cause a healing of this disease. Now, if you cover up this canker, thinking that it is about food, what you eat, your shelter, then in the first place, the state cannot even come in. So the genesis should be with the household.
Okay.
If it is a relationship, I believe that you might have dealt with the causes of some of these things. If the mother is not providing the sexual needs of the father, and she travels, maybe the sexual urges will cause the husband to have an affair with the daughter. In the same vein, if the husband is not providing for the wife and he travels, the wife may vent on the innocent son. So it is actually a canker, and the starting point for getting remedy should be a healing from the ranks of the family. Once we are open and we report to the police, the law is clear. Even when you are going for medical examinations under the Domestic Violence Act, it is free.
Okay.
Once the police issue with the report, you can go, and then if you don't have any money, it is free. The fund will provide for it.
Okay.
So you will get instructions or directive from the police if you don't have the funds.
Okay.
We also have other institutions like the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. This is also an institution on its own. If you are going through some of these violations of fundamental human rights, then you can go there. And if you don't have the funds, they will provide the necessary assistance. We have Legal Aid Commission, which will provide free legal assistance. And if you are going to court and you don't have money, the legal aid may assist.
All right.
In fact, we, even as private practitioners, if somebody comes to me without having the required fund that I need to charge, I may even direct the person to legal aid, go for them to assign the case to me to handle for you freely.
All right.
You know, if the firm is not mine. So for me, I think we have the requisite institutions, but people should be open and seek knowledge. And once we do this, we would assess the necessary.
I love the fact
help.
that you talked about a canker that is eaten, and we need to start in the family.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, the victim is meant to bear the burden to protect the family image. If it's a religious organization, because of this organization, the victim has to go silent. And we see that incest thrives because of silence. Exactly. Incest thrives because there is no awareness. Incest thrives because of the secrecy that it operates within the family. Some people say, our family business is not a public business. We deal with it here, and you have to. So for the fact that you talked about the family should be able and be willing to say, I cannot sell the future of my child or compromise it for something that is temporary, because the effect on the victim is long-lasting, and it takes years to recover from that. That is if they seek help, and for some, they never seek help. So it's important. So there is a network of team that is working together to ensure that these things are all available in Ghana.
Yes, they are all available. And you see, people are not aware, but just as you rightly explained, simply because they want to cover up certain things. But once you are open enough to get the necessary assistance, the police institution is there, DOFSU, which is also within the police institution, is there, SHRAJ is there, individual organizations are there. You know, I read an article where, I've forgotten the name of the organization, they came volunteering to even assist. But just as I was saying, the woman is saying that, look, you cannot assist me here. Oh. If you do this, my marriage is actually on the line. Wow. You know, so people are trying to secure or save their marriages and others. And, you know, for me, it is true. The mere fact that there is some incest within your family means that either the man, the woman, is not performing well or doing her duty or his duty as supposed to be done. Because if you really actually perform your duties as a married woman, maybe it would reduce the possibility or the propensity of going for, you know, your children and others. And so it is just not something which is shameful against just the victims, but as a wife, as a husband. If something like that happened, I think they would also want to not to open up their shameful. Because once it is open, then you'll be your integrity itself will be questioned. What were you doing? What did you neglect doing that resulted in this? And all these contribute for them not, voluntarily coming out. But I would take this platform to encourage the public that, you cannot sell the fundamental rights of your child and sacrifices on the altar of convenience.
Exactly.
You cannot just say that because I want to sustain my marriage, my child should be traumatized. And this one, the psychologists will be the best to explain. Those who go through this, I believe that throughout their life, they'll be traumatized.
Yeah.
And element like inferiority complex, the person will grow and have complex, they didn't even feel free to go among, the peers. Yeah. And they will be dumb when it comes to learning, they are not brilliant. All these are things that they actually pick from these bad and unfortunate experiences. So I will encourage our viewers that we should not sacrifice the future of our kids and our family for just in the name of maintaining our marriages. Yeah, we should come out. Now we have private institutions, public institutions. It might be difficult and tedious, but start the process and it will end. Yeah. The court can even decree compensation for breaches. If you commit this and for instance, there is an authority where the man was actually, for me, was sick, let's say infected with some of these diseases, and knowingly committed that act. And after the medicals, you realize that he infested the child with the disease. And the court actually took that into consideration in, decreeing a very huge compensation because the future of this child has been messed up.
Yeah, so bad. Once you were talking, what came into my mind is that the family also, could it be because you can see that incest sometimes is repeated from one generation to another?
Yes.
Because of the trauma, they have problem with relationships and they find someone who can love them for who they are. Yes. So how now, like the example you gave, can I go and report this man who is the only one who has accepted me for who I am, and now I'm going to tell on him that he's doing the same thing? So sometimes it can be like they come from a background where they've been abused, right, and their self-esteem is so low that they think to protect them, the temporary joy that they have to sacrifice their child so that they can enjoy some semblance of peace, which really is not, because it's costing the victim. Exactly. And I'm seeing, looking from where I'm sitting, I'm saying they also need therapy. Because no sensible mother will say, because of my food, I should stop, I should not report this.
Exactly. In fact, so that is why provision is made under this Domestic Violence Act, where provisions are made for relatives of victims. They provide psychological guidance, and all these are paid from the funds.
So not only for the victim, but also for the family
but the support,
members.
Just as those who are supporting and then go into, especially the parents. Yes. At times it's very difficult to let it go, but through the guidance of experts, psychologists, they may be able to let you be of yourself and then move on in life.
Oh, okay. Yes. All right. I want to pause here because I want us to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to look at the education and awareness and why it is important. And then you can just give us an overview again of the structures that are put in place and how people can access them. The reason why we're doing it, we want people to reach out.
That's fine.
Hello, viewers. So we're going to conclude this session by saying that victims seek out for help. There are structures available. Family members, don't sacrifice the rights of your child for your temporary comfort, because the impact of incest, it's long-lasting, and the recovery process is really slow. You need the family to work together to protect the rights of the child, the right of the victim. And as you seek justice, structures are available to meet your needs. This is Sex in the Temple, and my name is Monique. Thank you.